Okay, today we are talking about the cell theory and also a little bit about what makes something living. Okay, there have been some major contributors to the cell theory, and we're going to go over just 5 of them. Okay, the first one is Hooke. Okay, Hooke was the first to identify and name cells. He looked at cork and thought the shape resembled cells or rooms of monks, which is how cells got their name. Okay. Next major contributor is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Okay. He made a better microscope, which actually enabled him to see living things. Fun fact, one of the things he looked at was dental scrapings from his teeth. People weren't brushing their teeth very much around those days, so there was lots of bacteria to look at. Next, we have Schleiden. Schleiden came up with the conclusion that plants were made of cells. He looked at a variety of plants and realized that no matter what plant he looked at, they were all made of cells. All right. Next, we have Schwann. And Schwann looked at other types of living things, not just plants, animals, and came to the conclusion that not just plants, but all living things were actually made of cells. Okay. And then Virchow, if you remember the video that we watched about the cell theory and spontaneous generation, Virchow is one of those scientists who helped to disprove that theory. And he came up with the part of the theory that says all cells come from other living cells. They didn't just spring out of nowhere. Okay? So again, all of these scientists and many more helped to develop the cell theory. The cell theory has 3 key parts. First, all living things are made of cells, no matter how big, no matter how small. So a living thing might be made of only one single cell and be called unicellular, or it may be made of trillions of cells like a human being. The next principle of the cell theory is that all cells come from other living cells. That means cells need to divide in order to make new cells. Okay? Cells do not spring out of nowhere, okay? And cells do not come from dead material. Okay? And then the last part of the cell theory is that the cell is the basic unit of life, meaning nothing smaller than a cell would be considered alive. So that means the organelles found within a cell, although they have jobs and functions, they are not considered living. Now, what then makes something living? What are the characteristics of life? There are some major characteristics, and depending where you look, the list may be different, but here's a pretty comprehensive list of what makes something living. First, it's made of cells. Again, one cell or trillions of cells, doesn't matter. It's made of cells. Living things grow and develop. Okay, you are bigger than when you were a baby. Okay, living things grow and develop. Living things reproduce or have the ability to reproduce. Living things respond to their environment. When you hear a noise, you might turn your head. Plants grow toward the light. All living things respond to their environment. Living things adapt and evolve and change as needed. All living things use energy. Living things have to find a way to get nutrition and use energy. All living things have a form of internal regulation and order. It's called homeostasis. Homeostasis means maintaining an internal balance even when the outside environment changes. So our body temperature, for example, is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. That's normal body temperature. No matter what the room temperature is, your body tries to maintain your internal temperature the same.